Radical Jack here, day 36, and yeah, the heart. I'm blessed to have this fireplace, and I give thanks to what I have, and gratitude for my life, and yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy for any of us, in this day and age. And my heart goes out to all the struggle and all the suffering and all the pain and all the things that make us stronger, because what don't kill us makes us stronger, And as I've heard many times before, we don't get anything that we're not able for, And so anything that's fired at us, is it's even if it's cancer, I do not believe that that things are designed to kill us, My thoughts on this is that a disease or a cancer, is its design is to save us or to help us to live, and not always to kill. And I think our attitude towards things, the defeatist part of us, is often the reason why maybe some people don't live. It's not to say that that sometimes things have gone too far for individuals and disease, and perhaps there were points in people's lives where they could have made a change and maybe didn't hear the warning signs, and the alarm bells didn't go off, or they weren't heard. Who knows how this whole thing works, Certainly I have this feeling myself that when I don't listen, I can't deny that there were warnings. There were little taps on the shoulder or signs that were there before me, and then when I ended up getting the big bang, I can't deny this. It's easy to run around and look for sympathy of our brothers and sisters, our brethren, and tell a different story, because we're putting blinkers on and we're unable to tell the truth. And a lot of the time, wow, how many times I've had sympathy for people where I have been caught by just the one side of one story. And there is two sides to every story. And often enough, we sympathize with people who tell a good story and not the truth. And often we have a problem then with people we've never even met, who've done us no harm. Until one day, maybe, possibly, you wake up to realize that this person was a good person, and not the person that they were portrayed as being by this other individual who hadn't told us the truth. And so the same is for, walking the land, and why maybe the farmer has put a privacy sign, having opened up a public footpath previously, because there was a family or some people that were, didn't behave respectfully, and left rubbish and did things that weren't in line with the good behavior that one would expect, of people living on the land or whatever the case may be, So we have to look at this, as the reason why there is so much extremism in the world, and and it does seem like that things do get out of hand, why we have so much regulators and watchdogs and laws and stuff, because there are people who, without those laws, would do harm or health and safety issues, or there are many reasons for this, and it's So in effect, we're all responsible for these things, and of course they do become extreme. Sometimes there's an overcooked, overdoing, and there's obviously a need to pull back sometimes, you know, where a lot of people are tarnished with the same brush, you know, for whatever reason, because their creed, their color, you know, their religion, or whatever the case may be, you know. So we're in a difficult situation here. And now I've just put a Facebook post up that some friends asked me if I knew something about it, you know. We're in a really beautiful place of natural beauty and breathtaking views. Is about to have something built on it that's connected to you know, the digging for gold and diamonds, and we'll be using cyanide, you know, in the process, you know. And the plan then is in place for apparently all these unreserved or various you know, resources that Ireland is supposed to have. So here we go again, you know. This is interesting in relation to what I was saying the other day about, you know, one individual who made a point about everything that is above land, there's enough already, you know, that can be upcycled and recycled and so on. And yet we're still mining, you know. Of course, you know, if these resources were, you know, like the oil in Nigeria or even in this country here, you know, which often is done in a way where, you know, the inhabitants in this country, you know, where these resources or whatever funds come from these resources is not doesn't necessarily make the rest of the population rich, but certainly just for the few. And we all know this story and this paradigm and stuff and so on, you know. But ultimately, you know, I constantly look for the bigger picture in this, and I kind of think, well, you know, what can we do in order to, you know, instead of, you know, constantly trying to find some new way of doing things, you know, what can we do to cut back? You know, can you afford candlelight, you know? Maybe because there's a problem with the bees, maybe each individual household in the countryside could be keeping bees, you know, because they're you know, to repopulate, you know, the harm that's been done, you know. Could you possibly give up your mobile phone, you know, if you knew that this frequency was affecting the bees? You know, have you got a smart meter in your house? Because, you know, they say that they're not bringing smart meters out till 2018, earliest 2019, and yet there was one put in my house. You know, do you even know? Are these being put in behind your back? This is a reality, you know. And when it comes to gold and diamonds, you know, are you somebody that will, you know, support this this mining business, this jewelry shop that exists everywhere, you know? For what? You know? You might as well have a copper ring or a brass something or other, you know, because it's just in your mind that this is worth more, you know? And, you know, so what can we do as individuals to make this change? Can you stop buying cosmetics for your face or links for your arms or any chemical-based substance, you know, that is used in a way that does nobody any favors, not even the individual. I mean, perfume, all these items, you know, we spend trillions and trillions upon, you know. And so, of course, it would be lovely to see the good fight, you know, in protest and people making the pilgrimage to such hills as this hill, you know, in Northern Ireland that might need defending, you know, no different to Standing Rock. But who will get up and stand up and be present for that and roar from those hilltops, you know, that they will not let this happen, You know, because you have got some time. You know, because otherwise, what is that time spent on? I'll put my hand up to this myself. You know, I sometimes waste my time watching stuff that I don't need to see anymore. You know, as productive as it might seem, in comparison to EastEnders or some stupid soap that has no relevance to my life. You know, I think in turn then I would rather practice my guitar for 2 hours rather than watch a movie that I've seen before 1,000 times that hasn't changed the narrative for, you know, the basic, you know, whatever it is, you know, hero, you know, finds girl, saves girl, da 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 da. We've seen them thousand million times before. There's nothing new there. And so, you know, wouldn't we be better off bringing our children up to these hilltops in peaceful protest, you know? And whether it's this hilltop or the next, it's the same thing, you know? As this lady said, it's about singing the song and you know, 11:11 there. You know, singing the song. What is that song? Is that song a prayer in your heart? Is that could that be your intention to you know, to ask some divine force, you know, to help in some way? You know, is there a collective consciousness, you know, in prayer can make a difference? You know, there's been studies done on this, you know, where you know 100 rabbis or holy men have prayed in a particular area, and you know where it's been, you know, otherwise full of you know, war-torn areas and stuff like that, with there's bombs going off, etc. You know, where they've managed to quell or you know, it stopped for 24 hours during the time of when they were praying. You know, so I don't know. You know, can we put these things to the test? But you know, the very act of making that pilgrimage, you know, to get you away from your couch and your TV box, you know, that box, you know, that time and energy that is spent there, you know, how could you transfer this energy, this time and energy, you know, into getting your kids away from their consoles, those idiotic games, you know, which aren't doing them any favors. I don't see many children out playing anymore, you know, so how can, you know, what can we do? We don't have to jump in the car necessarily. We could certainly just go outside our door, most of us can in the countryside, and find a hilltop or a tree or some place to make that intention, you know, and to sit in silence, you know, and see, you know, what it is that you can do in order to, you know, make some kind of a change in your life. You know, we know that it's impossible for some of us to go out and campaign and protest in these ways that are necessary, needed at this time. There's so many things to save, and even the word you know, save the dolphins, save the trees, save Tara, save, you know, it's like, well, what about we come up with something else, you know? Why don't we just love everything? If we were to love everything in relation to trying to save something, it's like it's the assumption, right, that it needs saving, you know? Perhaps the only thing that needs saving is us, you know? Save ourselves, save our soul, save ourselves from the mental torture and psychosis of this eternally sick society that we've created around ourselves, you know? You know, so to go out there and love the trees, love the sunrise, the sunsets, love the land. Collectively, what kind of change do you think that would make or inspire in the ether, in the atmosphere, the cosmos, you know? So, you know, this is what I'm thinking about today. And there's so many small things that we can do, you know? And that we don't have to be that radical to do it, you know? So, peace and love, Radical Jack here. And yeah, keep it simple, but active.